This desk is my anchor. Coffee's always going, ideas are always moving. I spend 8+ hours a day here. I work here, I edit here, I film here, and what you're looking at right now is the result of 5 years of refinement. The highest quality, most productive, most aesthetic, and most expensive setup I've ever built, and I mean every word of that. So let me walk you through it, because honestly, I don't think I can take this any further within these 4 walls. This is it. Not a lot has changed with the desk itself, and that's because it didn't really need to. This is the Vernal sit-stand desk. It's 180 centimeters wide by 75 centimeters deep, real maple top, white legs, built like a tank, zero wobble, solid feel, and I genuinely don't think there's a better foundation for a setup like this. I'll be upfront, I don't really use it as a standing desk. My monitor situation has it locked in at one height, and it's just staying there. The integrated drawer is something I use every single day. It's got a custom cut wool felt liner, and then inside I have my iPad Pro, Magic Keyboard, Moth Folio, and Apple Pencil Pro. Basically just my iPad setup, and it's just ready for whenever I need it. The maple on the drawer matches the top perfectly, and I know that sounds like a small detail, but these kind of things do matter. Above the desk is the matching Vernal shelf, which is just mainly holding my displays now. I do think desk shelves are underrated. They add some great vertical dimension and just make any setup feel intentional rather than functional. And this one has a felt line sliding track and built-in cable routing that has been way more useful than I expected. For years, I had my monitor wall mounted. It was clean, convenient, and I loved it. But switching to the Studio Display XDRs meant pulling the bracket and patching things up because they come with their own built-in stands. Now, normally I'd half-ass a repair like this, but there's a real chance I'm never changing the monitor situation again, so I actually wanted to do it properly. So I got the mud, patched everything, sanded it, smoothed it out, grabbed a fresh coat of paint, which is way more expensive for absolutely no reason given the size of how small this can was, but painted the wall, and I'll be honest, I feel like it looks pretty good. I did leave one hole, which is pretty intentional. It is a cable pass-through that just runs directly down behind the drywall into the Mac Studio and the power bar. And if you ever wondered how I get a completely cable-free desk, that's the secret. Routing cables through the wall is the single best thing you can do for any setup. It completely changes the look. The whole thing just looks like a mock-up. Okay, let me explain this because I know how it sounds. Back in 2020, I made myself a deal. When Apple releases the next Pro Display XDR, I'm buying one. And I waited for years. And Apple eventually released a successor, sort of. They dropped the Pro name and called it the Studio Display XDR. And then here's the part that really got me. They dropped the screen size from 32 inches down to 27 inches. So instead of compromising, I did the only logical thing. I bought 2 of them. Am I insane? Maybe. Do I regret it? Not even a little. 2 Apple Studio Display XDRs, 54 inches of total screen real estate. Both are mini LED with over 2,000 local dimming zones, 1,000 nits of sustained brightness, peaking at 2,000 nits in HDR, and most importantly, both running at 120 Hz ProMotion. This is the single biggest upgrade I've made to this space since day one. Going dual monitor meant the lighting needed a complete rethink. I was running 4 Philips Hue play bars on a single monitor, and that just wasn't going to cut it anymore. So I doubled it, 8 play bars in total, 4 per display placed at the top and bottom edges of each screen, full 360-degree glow effect, more control than a light strip, and more coverage than a single directional bar. And since everything's already in the Philips Hue ecosystem, it all integrates seamlessly into Apple HomeKit, where I run all of my automations, scenes, and lighting controls for the entire space. I grouped all 8 bars into one accessory in HomeKit, so the whole setup behaves as one tap controls for brightness and color across all 8 lights. All my existing scenes just updated and carried over as well. The Studio Display XDR does have a built-in camera and microphone, and yes, they have been upgraded over the original Studio Display, but having a dedicated webcam is still a dedicated webcam, which is why I'm still using the OBSBOT Tiny 3, who were kind enough to sponsor this video. The Tiny 3 is the smallest 4K webcam I've ever used, and it feels like serious gear, aluminum build, dual axis gimbal, excellent heat management, and genuinely impressive image quality, 4K 30 or 1080p at 120 frames per second for slow motion. Autofocus is fast, colors are accurate, and the directional mic keeps your voice clean even in a noisy room. Well, the party trick is AI tracking. It follows your face in real time. If you move to the left, it reframes. If you move to the right, it'll reframe as well. You can also use hand gestures to zoom in and out, or just use voice commands like Hi Tiny to wake it up, or Sleep Tiny, which does put it to sleep. On the audio side, there are 5 mic modes, and they actually do cover different use cases rather than just being like marketing fluff. You have the directional mode, which locks onto whoever's front and center and cuts out the noise around them, which is really great for like a solo setup, especially if you are in a louder room. You have the dual directional, which captures front and back simultaneously. So for like interviews or even like a 2-host kind of podcast, things just like they feel natural. You got the pure audio, which is exactly what it sounds like. No processing, no enhancements, just clean, raw cut capture if you want to do like music or ASMR, or you just want to edit the audio separately. Then there's also spatial audio, which gives you that immersive stereo separation, which works really well for like vlog style content, where the ambient sound is like just kind of part of your story. And the OBSBOT Center app does let you fine tune the noise reduction in all of these modes. There's also teleprompter mode, which is what I'm actually using right now. There's picture-in-picture recording, whiteboard mode, and a desk mode for presentations. A lot in a very small footprint. If you guys are interested, I will leave a link to the OBSBOT Tiny 3 in the description down below. And I do want to give a huge thanks to OBSBOT for sponsoring the video and also just supporting the channel. Cable management itself was pretty straightforward since I do have the hole in the wall. I just passed all the cables through. The only issue I had is that the Studio Display XDR has a fixed cable. You can't remove it. So I had to pass like the AC outlet through the wall, which the hole wasn't big enough, so I had to like kind of jam it through, but it's fine. It's done, and now there's just no visible cables anywhere. Connecting the displays couldn't have been easier. Just one Thunderbolt cable per display into the Mac Studio, and the power cable, just plug it into my power bar, and everything just works in classic Apple fashion. The actual physical setup though, that took a while. My OCD fully kicked in. I measured the desk, found the center point, measured the shelf, found that center point, then lined them up perfectly, placed each display, and then spent way too long making sure the bezel gap ran perfectly down the middle, both in alignment and angle. I think I spent 4 hours doing this, and that's not even an exaggeration. And then once I basically had it perfect, I had to do it again because I didn't love the idea of the aluminum from both displays kind of like sitting up against each other, rubbing up against each other. I mean, they're pretty expensive, and I didn't want them scratching up. So I used a trick that I've been using for years: hockey tape. A strip on the back of each display where they meet. Metal on metal becomes tape on tape. Zero contact, zero scratching, and the bezel gap is now essentially invisible. It looks like a seamless connection between the two screens, and I'm giving myself a huge pat on the back for that because I genuinely don't think I could have got it more perfect. I'll be honest, I was nervous about this. I've been a single monitor person my entire life, and I just wasn't sure if the bezel down the middle would have driven me crazy or if I just miss having one big uninterrupted canvas, but turns out I was completely wrong to worry. The bezel actually works in my favor. It creates a natural physical separation between two independent workspaces, and once you start working that way, it changes how you think about your screen entirely. I got Final Cut just full screen on one, reference notes on the other. The productivity difference is real and it's not subtle. For video editing specifically, being able to output my actual video on one screen and then have my tools and my timeline on the other has been a real boost in the productivity. Fair warning though, when you see every frame at that size, you start catching every little camera shake and like color details. So I might be spending a little longer in the edit than usual, but seeing a full dedicated video output of my timeline, there's just really nothing better. I genuinely did not expect to love the dual monitors this much, and what better way to experience it for the first time than with two Studio Display XDRs. The machine running all of this hasn't changed, and I really don't have a reason to change it at all because this is the M2 Ultra Mac Studio. I bought it the day it released, and I've just been using it every single day since. It's got a 24-core CPU, 60-core GPU, 64 gigs of RAM, a 1TB SSD, a 32-core neural engine, 4 media engines, and 4 years in, there's just been zero lag, zero stutter, just zero complaints. I've tested other Macs since this released: MacBook Airs, MacBook Pros, and the M2 Ultra is just still a beast in comparison. The M5 Max beats it in a lot of ways, but as a video editor, having double the media engines over the Max chip is a massive win. Exports fly, effects render in real time. I can edit over 100 photos at once without this thing flinching. It just does everything I throw at it without a question. And pretty much every port is spoken for. 2 Thunderbolt connections go to the displays. I got my Ethernet running to my switch. The Logitech dongle takes up a USB-A port. The rest feeds into storage, and storage got a full rethink with this build. 3 Thunderbolt NVMe SSDs connected directly to the Mac Studio. 2 of them are 4TB each and are configured as a RAID 0 array in macOS. And what's really interesting is that macOS actually uses both PCIe lanes simultaneously. So instead of being capped by a single Thunderbolt 4 connection, I'm pulling from both at once. In real world sort of speeds, I'm getting around like 60 gigabits per second. That's like 8 terabytes of just fast working storage. And for 4K YouTube content, that's more than I'll ever realistically fill. The third is a 2TB Thunderbolt SSD for fast archive storage. Clips I know I'll come back to live here so I can pull them without digging through my NAS and also get Thunderbolt speeds. But when a project does fully wrap up, I do drop it onto my 16TB Ugreen unit running over 10 gigabits per second. Everything's archived, everything's backed up. the whole system finally makes sense end to end. And since my Mac Studio lives behind the wall, the last Thunderbolt port goes to the CalDigit Thunderbolt 4 docking station, which is screwed directly into my desk. This has basically just become a glorified SD card reader at this point, but I do also connect my keyboard to it. Then I have a loose Thunderbolt 5 cable connected to it just in case I need to connect to anything, get like really fast speeds, but that very rarely ever happens. It's basically just like a gateway to my Mac Studio. When it comes to peripherals, everything sits on Grovemade's wolf felt desk mat. 4 years in, 0 issues. It looks as good as day one. The Apple Magic trackpad is a non-negotiable for me at a desktop. I know a trackpad and a mouse together is unusual, but once you've used both on macOS, you just can't go back. The gestures, the force touch, the natural scrolling, it makes moving around the OS feel fluid in a way a mouse alone just can't match. It sits inside a Grovemade maple tray with a matching wrist rest for both the trackpad and the keyboard, solid American maple vegetable tanned leather, and the right amount of elevation. The whole peripheral area feels curated rather than assembled. The keyboard is the Sign 65 from Wind Studios, 2 years in, and it's still my daily driver. Full CNC machined aluminum housing with a design inspired by the Sign function graph. It's unique, incredibly premium, and the typing experience is genuinely the best that I've ever experienced on a keyboard. The keycaps are from Keychron's Apple-inspired set. It has an old-school Mac-style font and some custom keys like the delete key, which says think different, enter says one more thing, and I have a few custom keycaps from Keychron as well, like this metal finder icon, a hello keycap, and then this sort of like night mode old-school Mac. The keyboard combo is truly one of a kind, and that's a huge reason why I love it. And then of course the typing experience itself. For the mouse, it's the Logitech MX Master 3S in pale gray. If you know, you know. It's basically the standard for creative and office work, and for good reason. Quiet clicks, max speed scroll wheel, customizable buttons that actually get used. And honestly, the pale gray colorway alone was like half the reason I upgraded from the original MX Master 3. It's clean, it's subtle, and just fits my setup perfectly. Now here was the sacrifice. The speakers are gone. For day-to-day desktop audio, the Studio Display XDRs built-in speakers handle it well. It's not tuck level, obviously, but genuinely capable for monitor speakers, and it's kind of more than enough. But when I actually need to focus, that's where the AirPods Max 2s come in. These have completely changed my editing workflow. I still have the originals and they were great, but they had two real issues: lightning charging and no proper wired audio pass-through. The Max 2s fix both. They're now USB-C, and when you plug them into a Mac via USB-C, they behave like wired headphones, but smarter. One shared volume control between macOS and the headphones, noise cancellation and transparency mode right from the menu bar, and most importantly, lossless low latency audio over the cable. The last part is a big deal for editing. When I'm cutting dialogue or mixing audio in Final Cut, I need what I'm hearing to match what I'm outputting. Latency via USB-C is essentially a non-issue. These are now just my primary editing headphones. And the best part is that the AirPods Max are actually a pretty accurate reference point for my YouTube content, as most people watching my videos are probably watching on an iPhone with some AirPods. So if I mix the sound right on the AirPods Max 2s, it's going to sound right for most of my audience. And same logic applies to the Studio Display XDR for visuals. If it looks correct on this screen, it'll translate everywhere else. That alignment between how I create and how people consume is something I think about more than you probably expect. The rest of the setup is more personal than functional, and I think that matters just as much. In the left corner, a plant and a wax warmer. In the right corner, my Pirates of the Caribbean corner, some seashells I've collected when I was a kid, the miniature black pearl, Captain Jack Sparrow's compass, and I thought about replacing it with some more greenery, but I keep landing in the same place. Your setup should have a piece of who you actually are. Pirates of the Caribbean has been my favorite movie franchise since I was a kid. Those are, I guess, like my comfort movies, so it's staying. On the walls, 3 frames from Grid Studios, an iPhone 4S, an iPad mini, and an iPhone 10, and these have kind of been staples in my space for years now. Up on the floating shelf, a Lego Darth Vader and Mandalorian, a couple of fake plants, 2 cameras. The Canon was my first photo camera, and then the Sony ZV-E1 with the kit lens was my first intro into video. I look at everything I shoot with now, and then I look back at those two, and it's just like a quiet reminder of where it all started. And that's the 2026 desk setup. At the center of it all is the dual Studio Display XDRs, 5K mini LED, 120Hz, both connected to the M2 Ultra Max Studio, which is still just an absolute beast. Crazy CPU and GPU performance, powerful media engine, 64 gigs of RAM, and a 1TB internal SSD. The desk itself is the Vernal sit-stand desk with the matching shelf. On the left, I've got a fake plant and a wax warmer. On the right, a collection of seashells I picked up as a kid, a black pearl replica, and Captain Jack Sparrow's compass from Pirates of the Caribbean. Little things that just mean something. For audio, the displays handle most of it day to day, but when I need to lock in, I grab the AirPods Max 2 over USB-C. Peripherals, Apple Magic Trackpad sitting in a Grove-made maple tray with the matching wrist rest. Keyboard is the Science 65 mechanical keyboard with its own Grove-made wrist rest. Mouse is the Logitech MX Master 3S sitting on a Grove-made leather mouse pad with a pen holder and a titanium pen inside of it. All of it sits on top of a wolf-out desk mat, also from Grove-made. The chair is still the iconic Herman Miller Aeron, 2 years in, and I absolutely love it. I can sit in this thing for hours. It's got lumbar support, breathable mesh, and the adjustability is basically unmatched. It's genuinely one of the best chairs you can buy, but you probably already know that. On the wall, 3 frames from Grid Studios, an iPad mini, an iPhone 4S, and an iPhone 10, devices that actually meant something to me in different points in my life. And then above that, on my floating shelf, I have 2 Lego Star Wars sets, Darth Vader and the Mandalorian, alongside a couple of fake plants and 2 cameras from when I started my content creation journey. I said it at the start of this video that this might be the last desk setup in this space, and I mean that. Within these 4 walls, I don't see it getting any better than this. If something changes, there will be a video, but honestly, the next time you see a setup from me, it might just be in a completely new space, and that comes with its own set of possibilities. Everything will be linked in the description down below. If you have any questions about anything in particular in the setup, just drop it in the comments. And if you guys like this video, make sure to give it a like and share it to a friend. And if you like Apple tech or desk setup related content, make sure to subscribe, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Peace.